For 30 years, the heroes of motocross have come to Washougal, Washington, to add their names to the impressive list of champions that have conquered this scenic and demanding course. Now all eyes are on Ryan Dungey as he comes to the Pacific Northwest, having extended his series lead even further with a dominating win in his home state. While Kevin Windham returned to the motocross scene with an impressive performance, Chad Reed's season slipped into uncertainty as Andrew Short took over the second spot in the championship. If the title can be seized from Dungey's clutches, now's the time, because there will be no letting up as he enters the home stretch of his dream season. Next, at the Washougal National. In the Great Pacific Northwest for round 8 of the 2010 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the Washougal Washington National. And we already have a great first moto in the books. Ryan Dungey continued his string of domination. He takes the lead from Andrew Short and goes on to grab the first moto victory. Hello everyone and welcome to Washougal. Jason Wygant on a retro weekend for the sport. We got our own champ here from 92, 96, 97. Our retro champ, Jeff Emig. First, big news before this race started, Chad Reed out of this series.
Yeah, Chad Reed has been diagnosed with Epstein-Barr. Some people get a little bit critical when you get diagnosed with that, but basically just zaps all of your energy. We could see that this summer he just wasn't as consistently strong as what he's been in his whole career. Chad Reed is out for the season.
And Ryan Dungey, as we said, continues to roll. What'd you learn from watching him in Moto 1, Jeff?
Learn that somebody's going to have to do something very special to beat him. I mean, he's just got everything working right. Andrew Short out front with the whole shot, put in some good laps, but you get to the 15-minute mark, a little bit past that, Dungey just drops the hammer and drops everybody in the rearview mirror.
We're preparing for Moto 2, so let's introduce our own retro girl down in the starting line, Erin Bates, with a progressive pre-race report.
Ryan Dungey continues to be unstoppable. Ryan, you won that first moto. You saw how the conditions had changed from first practice to that moto. How much do you expect them to change for this final moto of the day?
Probably a good little bit. You know, it's been about a couple hours since we last raced, and track changed a little bit, so it all depends on how they groom it, water it. So sight lap, we'll get to check her out.
You guys make any changes on the bike?
Minor stuff, just trying to stick what we got, and everything's working well.
Best of luck to you. We'll make our way over Kevin Windham, who just finished up 9th place during that first moto. Kevin, you guys have made some changes to the bike as well. Take us through the changes that you made in order to hold on a little better.
Well, yeah, we had a rough go at it there the first moto. We were changing some things, didn't work out, and you know, the Honda Red Bull team is behind me. It feels great. I'm glad to be back out here at motocross and looking for a little redemption here in Moto 2.
You said you weren't able to feel your hands. It was really difficult to hold on. How much has that affected your blisters as well from last weekend?
Well, it's definitely on a crash course. You know, it's good to be back out here at motocross, but after getting the call, we haven't had enough time to really prepare ourselves. So we're just work in progress and trying to have fun with it, and with fans like we got here and last weekend, and moving on to some of my favorite tracks. It's just fun to be out here.
Fans are very excited to have you back. And Brett Metcalf, who's you've actually taken over Kevin Windham's ride. Brett, great performance that first moto, but your confidence has got to be soaring right now. Ben Townley, injured on the sidelines, going to be sitting out for this moto. That pretty much solidifies you in that 3rd place overall position. How do you feel about that?
Well, we got a long way to go at the end of the championship, but you know, I have a lot of respect for Ben, and I hope he's okay. You know, he's been through a lot the last few seasons, so I just hope he's okay, and it does nothing for my confidence. I got to go out there and make it.
The temperature is starting to rise, but these guys are getting hot, ready for this start gate to drop.
Well, it's been an amazing season so far, and it's bound to get even better when we go racing the second moto at Washougal. A great racetrack, great weather, and the best riders in the world all lined up. The fans are excited, so are we. Well, there's a reason we call this the most picturesque stop on this 12-race tour. The beautiful Columbia River, not far away. It's awesome here.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is only about 20 minutes from the track. And yeah, so far Ryan Dungey has been ruling this series. He has won all but one overall race this year. But to win the overall, you've got to do well in 2 motos. Let's break it down with our Motocross 411. 2 motos every weekend, 40 riders in each, 30 minutes plus 2 laps is the distance, and we'll total up the scores from each of those 2 motos to determine an overall victory. What's it like to go racing at Washougal? We talked to some of our top riders about this racetrack.
like, you think like, man, the track's so good. You're trying different tires for practice, and you're thinking, man, nothing seems to really work. You just got to kind of ride the track different, you know. It's just a different track.
The dirt, you look at it, and it looks like it's the tackiest dirt you'll ever ride, and this and that, and all of a sudden you'll be riding, and you'll hit a slick spot out of nowhere. So you really got to be on top of your game.
It's a tough track because you have to be so precise, so smooth, so, you know, meticulous about it. You can't just come in at every turn with a handful of gas and bury the bike. You've got to almost float around that track.
It wears on you, that track, just because I think as much of it is physical, it is mental, just because of the shadows from the trees and also, you know, just the lack of traction.
It's a lot of different stuff. It's tacky and slippery and jumpy and fast and a lot of turns, and it's a lot of different stuff at that track that they throw at us, and it's cool though. I like the challenge. I think that's the biggest fun part of that track is a lot of different like variables that go into the track, so it's cool.
All right, now you've heard what the riders have to say about the track. Jeff, why don't you give us a little look at what this track has to offer?
Well, let's take a look at the track map here at Washougal. Brand new starting gate this year. Of course, Horsepower Hill, that's the drag race up, the first one. And then, of course, the downhill drop-off into those tight S-turns, so famous sections of the track. Now they've switched it up. Some new sections here, massive jumps into the trees. This highlighted section here, the Hoopties, classic section as you drag race to the finish. On through some other tight turns here with an off-camber. Zigzag your way around through the mechanics area, and that's a track or a lap at Washougal.
And we had several laps already in the books with our 450 first photo earlier today. Let's show you how it broke down. Another good one for Andrew Short.
Yeah, the 29 of Andrew Short and his new teammate Kevin Windham, both the Rockstar, the Red Bull Hondas out front with the beginning, and another Honda rider down. That would be Ben Townley, and he would be injured.
Yeah, Townley not going to be back for the second moto. We hope he's okay, but hurt his shoulder, which has been bothering him, of course, in the past. Knocked him out of the race series for the last couple of years. Ryan Dungey goes to work. First gets around with him in that infamous group section, as he said, drag racing to the finish line area.
And then, of course, when you have the momentum and you're working forward, you're going to make a pass on the lead. And watch Dungey here just scrub his way past this through a newer section. Gets past Short for the lead, and he basically checks out after this.
Man on the move here is Josh Grant on the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha, Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to get around Windham here. This is where the track connects back to the starting line and heads up Horsepower Hill.
And just when you think that Ryan Dungey's got this thing in hand, little mistake here, just loses the front end, but you notice he keeps the bike running, throttle in hand, and gets back on it.
And no problem, Ryan Dungey's got himself in another victory. And as you can see, these are supposed to be long, grueling races, but for this kid, doesn't even look tired at all. Let's share the results. Well done for Dungey. He's got to try to back this up in Moto number 2 to win the overall, and quietly, Brett Metcalf puts it up in 3rd.
And I tell you, Ryan Sipes there in 5th on the Yamaha. Fantastic ride, and Windham, who started 2nd, fades back to 9th.
Now Tommy Hahn is back in action after a couple of injuries have been slowing his charge. He's trying to get back up to the front again on the podium. What does the number 10 need to do, our Rocky Mountain keys to the race, Jeff?
Well, he needs to get a better start than what he did in Moto 1. He worked his way forward, fell down, so that's why I think he needs to stay on 2 wheels, obviously, and he needs to keep charging like he does. Tommy Hahn has a huge heart, and he tries so hard.
We're ready to go racing live here in our second 450 Moto. They're bumping and grinding, but it looks like Andrew Short is going to nail yet another hole shot. 8 hole shots on the season.
Riders down.
And one of them is Mike Alessi in the orange, the KTM rider who has had all sorts of bad luck this year, and he has it again.
Jeff Alessi's in there, and you talk about bad luck. I believe that was Tommy Hahn.
No, I think Hahn, no, that you're right. That's Hahn coming through the number 5 spot. So Hahn managed to keep it up. He's only a few spots further back as Dungey has got himself yet another good, not great start. Dungey hasn't gotten a lot of hole shots this year, but he's in position again to make things happen. And they jump back into view of the fans for the first time, and it is Short over Windham, just like the first moto. And of course, they got that shark in the water, Ryan Dungey in 3rd.
Well, this is how Moto 1 started. You can see all this roost starting to fly up. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for the whole shot here when it comes to that roost. Coming off these big 450 4-stroke motocross machines, the roost here, it hurts. You notice Wyndham ducking his head right there. And what's going to be important is that if you're a rider like Dungey, when he was trying to pick his way through the pack, is you cannot follow the fast line. You have to make new lines. Look how shadowed it is. It's so dark down in there, Jason.
Wyndham looks like he's rolling up a little bit on his teammate Short here, Jeff. As we're about to complete lap 1, they're headed to the whoops in the finish line, and Wyndham is right on the rear tire of Short.
Well, and that roost is some massive incentive to get out front and get the lead. I mean, you can just see this, this soil here, and like the riders, like their comments earlier, is it looks great, but it's really hard-packed and slippery in there, especially when they water, and it's just not as loamy as what you think it is.
Now, Kevin Wyndham has had great success at this track through the years. He's been racing for many, many years, but this is one of his better tracks, and a lot of people say it's because of his riding style. Explain that a little bit, Jeff.
Well, he has the ability to get the long legs out, and he's got just a fantastic cornering technique. See him pulling some tear-offs right now, already getting some roost.
Yep.
And we're going to see here, Dungey, a few bike lengths back, and he's been ultra, patient with everyone through these races. But Wyndham's going to have to do something different than in the first moto, because he started out like this, finished way back in 9th, and just did not look like he had the flow. So see if the veteran can get something going here for Moto 2. Oh, he's just ducking his head the whole time.
Maybe the reason Wyndham's so close to Short is that he just wants to make a pass and get out of that roost. Don't worry about getting tired in the moto later on.
Well, and you notice there's actually some rocks and stuff starting to come up. All those light spots, that'll be rocks. And this is a great racetrack to ride, but it's just not good when you're behind somebody.
Give a shout out to the man in fourth. That is Dungey's long-lost teammate, Matt Moss, the young Australian who has had crashes, injuries over and over and over all season long. Maybe today we'll finally see what the 712 has. Here he is in the number 4 spot.
Followed by Justin Brayton, who really, his first moto.
17th.
Yeah, he's way off the pace. You know, so far back that hard to see exactly why he was in 17th. He certainly is capable of a much better finish than that. But nonetheless, I think the story here of Moto 2 is the 712 of Matt Moss.
You know, he has a twin brother that actually races out here as well, although he's out injured at the moment. Jake Moss and Hook and the Moss brothers, they are really fast. But this year, they have both been beset by some major injuries. Matt broke his back back in December, I believe. And then while he was out with the back injury, he decided to have an injured wrist looked at. Turned out he had a bad wrist as well. So he missed all of Supercross and hasn't delivered many results here outdoors, but he's 4th early in this second moto.
And so as we come around the first full lap, Andrew Short with a 2:13 flat, zeros across. 0.8 of a second faster than Wyndham and about 0.4 of a second faster than Dungey. So that puts him 2.4 seconds ahead of 3rd.
Now all the riders in this second moto are going to be battling for the Rockstar Energy Drink Fast Lap, which the fastest lap of the second moto gets that award. So right now Short has it, although we saw in Moto 1 the track gets faster the day goes on. Speaking of faster, look at this. Josh Grant not messing around. He goes inside of Dan Reardon and makes the pass. That's going to move him up into 9th.
See Jeff Alessi trying to get back on the track there. That was a bad spot as the whole lead group starts to come by, and he's trying to pull out even though he's a lap down.
Oh, here comes Dungey. How many times has he put himself in this position? He doesn't get the whole shot, but he never gets a bad start. Starts 4th, 5th, 3rd in this case. And like you said, he's just so patient. He's going to go to work on the 2 Honda boys.
Well, he's at this point in the second moto, you're trying to figure out where the lines have changed from Moto 1 to Moto 2. Track's changed a little bit. They've actually taken the bulldozers out, worked on the track a little bit, did a little maintenance. You see it's really not that rough at all coming down off of that big drop-off. So the track's pretty smooth and fast right now. I mean, when you take a look at though the first moto, Dungey's turned to 209. That was a 213 for Short last lap.
All right, we think they might get faster as this thing goes on. The question is, which one of these 3 will be the fastest out of the pack? 2 Hondas leading the Suzuki right now, but the way it's worked out all season long, this seems to be the position Dungey likes to start out in. He's doing the hunting, and he's got 2 riders in front of him who are about to be hunted. We're just getting started here live on Speed. Andrew Short leads the way. Wednesday night speed prime time is all new. At 8, it's the new original Stunt Riding Series Stealth Rider. And at 10, it's Intersections, where man and machine are pushed to the limit. So get your heart racing Wednesday night starting at 8 Eastern on Speed. Ryan Dungey going to work on Kevin Windham to try to get in a second, while Andrew Short on 29 tries to pull away from the boat. Jason Wygant, Jeff Emig, Aaron Bates giving me the call. Washougal, Washington. Jeff, what are you seeing here?
Well, I'm seeing Dungey finally start to get aggressive here, moving around, trying to find some better lines, trying to take some wide lines, trying to take some insides. But Kevin Windham being a little stingy with that second place, and which is quite the change, because in Moto 1, things started happening a little too quick for the veteran Windham, and he gave up a lot of positions.
Dungey kicking the bike sideways there, and that's one of those really slick spots.
That's what the riders say. See, right here, they worked on this section. Okay, they took the dozer to it and cleaned it up, and it's made it really nice and mulchy. But that section where Dungey got swirly, it's so hard packed under there. There just is no traction, and you have to respect this track. You really have to be easy on the throttle, and that's why these three riders here are probably three of the most smooth riders with their throttle technique than anybody out there.
Dungey going to go to work on Windham again. Here he goes to the inside. He's on the inside for the next corner as well. Will he beat Windham there?
Oh, he's got the inside line now. Wyndham's going to try to squeeze to the inside. Yes.
He does. You're right. The veteran here being stingy, not letting Dungey have it. Now they're going to jump back into view of the fans, and they're going to go crazy here with this battle.
The fans love this battle. You got the veteran and the rookie going at it. These fans have been here since about 8 a.m. this morning. Yes. I mean, there was thousands of fans on the hillside that were totally camped out before even a bike ran one lap of practice, just dedicated. Fans up here, and this is the only race that they have on the schedule here in the Great Northwest.
Yeah, what great tradition. That's why it's the retro weekend. 40 years this track has been in operation. 30 they've been holding a pro national, and what a national they have this year. Dungey going outside to inside on Windham. What a move by the number 5.
Wow, he was committed once he squared that up. He was not going to be denied. Now let's see if Dungey can put the charge on. And last time around, Short was a 2:12.5, Dungey a 2:12.7. Let's see what they look like here as they cross the stripe now. That's going to put Short at a 2:12.9 and Dungey at a 2:11.9. So Dungey a full second faster that last lap.
Jeff, I want us to take you through this battle here between Dungey and Windham. Dungey makes a mistake and he quickly rebounds.
Watch the number 5 here of Dungey as he gets out of this slick corner. Watch as he hammers the throttle. Saves it there, ends up dragging that right foot a little bit. Here's another section. This is when he's setting up the pass. Now watch how Windham comes a little short, and Dungey squares it up. He finds a little rut here and just cuts right across. Pretty aggressive move right there, but you can tell he's comfortable because he instantly pulled the tear off.
You know, you mentioned that he found a little rut there. You're not kidding. Windham was in the main line. Windham had this big groove to bounce off of, and Dungey somehow still able to make it happen.
Yeah, but this is the thing about Washougal is that those little ruts are so hard to stay in. So to try to find a smooth line is just as important as finding a little rut to bounce off of and make the bike turn, because not all the times can you typically you get in a rut and you can hammer the throttle. There's some little kickers that'll kick that back end out of the rut and lose traction.
All right, here's Justin Brayton in 4th. Tommy Hahn waiting for him to catch fire. Usually second half of the race, the number 10 really picks it up. And here's the lone soldier for Monster Kawasaki, Nick Wade. Then it's Moss and Josh Grant. And Grant is in 8th, Reardon 9th, Kyle Cunningham 10th. But you want to stay with Josh Grant. You never know when this kid's going to catch fire. And right now he's all over Moss.
Yeah, and when you take a look at the top 3 first moto, it was Dungey, Short, Metcalf, Grant. Right now you got Metcalf, who was way outside of the top 20. He's up to 12th. Josh Grant up to 8th now.
Grant drops back in. Yeah, he's looking for an overall today.
Yeah, and Mike Alessi, who was 5th in the first moto, he's only 22nd right now.
And here's the Australian Dan Reardon. Really nice guy, good guy to talk to on and off the track. And as far as racing goes, he's been solid top 10 this year, but he had a lot of hype coming into this tour. A few years ago, he actually challenged Chad Reed at a race in their native Down Under, and a lot of people thought that maybe he had Chad Reed level speed. Hasn't quite found the combination to show that, but he's been consistent this year. Go back up front. Short still leading Dungey, and Short ran a 2:13.1. Dungey a 2:12.4. So Dungey still closing the gap. like seems to happen second half of the second moto every week.
Yeah, but this is for the overall, and Andrew Short has got to get mean right now. He has really got to do whatever he has to do to keep Dungey behind him, because this could be such a massive boost in his confidence and in the career if he could keep that Red Bull Honda out front and actually steal an overall away and just basically stop the momentum of Ryan Dungey.
Yeah, it almost seems inevitable because the way the races have gone the last couple of weeks, but if you're Short, you're one big mistake from Dungey away from winning this race. And you put yourself in this position by getting the start. Here's a progressive whole shot replay, Jeff.
Well, and look, you got Moss on the inside, and you got Wyndham and Short once again. It looked like Dungey was going to give it the effort just at the last second. Short had that just about a wheel on him. Dungey chose to pull up a little bit, not quite turn in. But right now, Dungey's not giving anything up at this point. This is an all-out battle here at Washougal. Thousands of fans on hand, a beautiful day, and we've got a battle for the overall.
Now, Short has won this race before in the 250 class, but here on the big bikes, he has never won an overall on any track. He's won a couple of motos. He's been in this position, leading it in Moto 2 many times. He's never been able to hold on.
Well, and what he needs to do, Andrew Short, is he need to just give it his all-out effort, possibly force Ryan Dungey into making a mistake for trying too hard.
Right.
And this is one of those tracks where we already seen that, you know, you get on the throttle, get a little antsy with it, try to cut out of the roost, you lose the rear tire, lose some mistakes. So right now, Andrew Short's doing everything right so far.
It's unbelievable to me how Dungey's able to get out of the main race line and maintain enough traction to keep pace. Short's controlling this track. He's in the main groove, and Dungey does not care. He'll ride wherever he wants and maintain the pace.
Well, he's trying some different lines, and he's tried some outsides right here. Oh, and there's a lapped rider, and so he has to cut back. Lost just a little bit of time. I had the feeling he wanted to go wide there and just sweep that outside and just launch as far as he could into those whoops. But you see how he's riding some straight lines, kind of riding the shorter line, and Short's really trying to get out of the bumps at this point, and Dungey's just kind of going straight through them.
A lot of riders talk about how your back hurts when this race is over. Explain why that is, the choppy bumps.
Well, yeah, as you can see, you're on the seat quite a bit, and it's these little bumps right there. See them big holes where you're sitting down. You really don't have the opportunity to stand up, like say on like a sand track where you can go around the turns standing on the pegs.
Right.
Well, you really wouldn't do that here, and it's all them sharp little square edge bumps that really take the toll on you.
Here we go, the mechanics turn. They read the pit board on their right, and they turn hard to the left. Then it'll be a right-hand turn, and they're headed up Horsepower Hill.
Well, and it's interesting, as they went into that turn, you can hear the brakes squeaking, and you know that at this point, the brakes are heated up. Along with the battle for first here as they drag race up.
And again, the patience of Dungey. He could have pulled the trigger. He waited. Here he goes to the inside. Just explodes to the inside of that corner. He's got the spot. Short's got to try to respond.
Short's coming back to the inside.
Oh, who's going to get to the inside of this right-hander? Now they're going to jump back in view of the crowd side by side. Dungey cuts him off. Dungey's got the lead. Well, Short's going to be out of opportunities to respond. It's one line to these S-turns, and they're going to head back downhill.
Now for the first time this moto, Andrew Short's going to be taking on all that roost. You see him now pulling a tear off already. And you see Dungey just already gapping 3 or 4 bike lengths.
What is impressive to me about this, Jeff, is that with all the variables, all the things that can happen on a motocross track, how Dungey is able to engineer the same scenario week in, week out. Halfway mark in the second moto, it's generally been Short who he's got to get. And almost the exact same moment, 17 minutes into the race, he attacks.
That is impressive.
It is. It's like a machine out there.
Yeah, and Dungey, he's doing everything right. You know, there's some times when you look back through history, riders like Bob Hanna, riders like James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael at times, where they just look blistering fast and they're all over the place and they're taking lots of chances, and it's really exciting. Ryan Dungey, on the other hand, is just doing everything perfect. He's really not making any mistakes, and he makes it look so easy. It looks like he's just out there for a Sunday drive, even though it's Saturday afternoon.
Well, that leads to the ultimate bench racing question. 2 of the heavy hitters normally in this 450 class are not racing. Brian Villapoto, James Stewart. James Stewart, rumor has it, might be back for our next race at Unadilla. And a lot of people are wondering, is Dungey just good, or is he really, really fast? He's deceptively fast. He's so smooth, and he's leading right now here at Washougal. So much history absorbed into the famous black soil here at Washougal. Famous riders like Johnny O'Mara, our own Jeff Emig, Showtime, Jeremy McGrath, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart have all come and won on this track. And our own Aaron Bates had the opportunity to hang out in the Retro Village here at Washougal a little earlier in the weekend. Lots of cool things to see and do here at Washougal.
It's a fun retro throwback weekend this weekend at Washougal Motocross Park. All the fans are having fun, wearing bright colors, some vintage throwback apparel from 3 decades ago. We're having a good time this weekend here in Washougal.
Well, that's the old days, the Retro Village with some vintage bikes. They even had a vintage bike race, but the new style is all this guy. Ryan, don't you, Jeff?
Yeah, but I tell you, you watch that vintage bike race, you see the old twin shockers, 490 Makos, the old two-stroke bikes. Yeah, these bikes here are some pretty sophisticated motocross machines, and Dungey and Short are out front, and look who's moved up to third. Once again, Tommy Hahn.
Wyndham and then Brayton come through next. So Tommy Hahn, who you said had to keep charging and keep it on 2 wheels. He has been fast the last couple of weeks, but he has had crashes and bad luck at the wrong time. Knocked him out of podium positions. He's in one again today. As we watch Wyndham and Brayton duking it out right behind him in 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and Hahn, he was 6th the first moto, so that math is going to get tricky because Grant back in 7th, Metcalf now up to 8th. As you're taking a look at Justin Brayton trying to work his way past Wyndham.
Brayton needs this run. He was injured about a week before the series began while testing. Broke some ribs, collapsed a lung, came back at round 3 of the tour, and has really been racing his way back into shape. He's just been trying to get into the top 10 right now, looking for a piece of the top 5.
Now, I have actually collapsed a lung, but the broken rib issue is something that is just so hard to come back from. Okay. The lung actually doesn't take that long.
Okay.
A week or two, yeah, a week or two and you're good. But the ribs, I'm sure that it's just going to nag him for months, and so that's why he has had such a slow start. And then, of course, Wyndham, he wasn't even with us at the beginning of the season and just came back to this series last week when he got the call from Red Bull Honda to fill in for an injured Davey Millsaps.
Yeah, Wyndham ordinarily races with a Supercross only deal. Wasn't going to race this summer. But he's back out there, and he's doing what Honda wants him to do. Put the bike on TV, making it look good up front. But he's under some heavy pressure from Justin Brayton, and they're fighting for 5th. Headed up Horsepower Hill we go. Great racing here at Washougal. That's what the fans love to see. That's the beautiful Portland skyline, Portland, Oregon, only about 15 minutes from us here. We are right north of the Oregon border. So many cool places to hang out. I mean, literally cool. We are here. It's over 90 degrees today. But you can get down there in those waterfalls not too far away and cool off.
I'm sure that water is cool.
That's what I'm saying. They need to douse that on Ryan Dungey right now because he is hot. Struggled at the opening round of the series in Hangtown. People were wondering what was wrong. Apparently, nothing was wrong because he has won every single race since then. And now
overall.
The overall, yeah, he hasn't won every moto. But when it counts here in Moto 2, late in the day, that's where we are right now. You can see Dungey's got a 6-point edge over Short. That'll give him yet another overall win. I don't even know what's left to say about this guy, Jeff. Got anything left in the tank?
He just seems to be building, and you got to think that even though 2 of what could be the top challengers in James Stewart and Ryan Villapoto are out with injuries, that he's ramping up for their return also.
Yeah, because he is getting faster and faster. Speaking of that, so is Tommy Hahn here in 3rd, putting pressure at Andrew Short. And we've seen this time and time again this year. Short is strong when he has the lead, but when he finally gets zapped, things start to go south.
And it's usually 2 or 3 seconds a lap around this time. Last lap around, Dungey 2:14.2, Short 2:17.2, 3 seconds off. Tommy Hahn a 2:14 flat. Tommy Hahn, fastest rider on the track. Privateer,
yeah.
Rockstar Suzuki.
And Hahn has had a rough go of it this year. Dislocated his shoulder at Budds Creek, hurt his foot at Colorado. Says pain, just a feeling. I can block that out, no problem. It doesn't affect the way he rides. Let's review here his keys to the race via Rocky Mountain, Jeff.
So he did get a better start. Yeah. He has stayed on 2 wheels, and he is definitely charging. Did somebody give him my cheat sheet? Did Aaron sneak those in while they were on the starting line?
I would protest the guy if he had an unfair advantage advice from you. I mean, that can you stop it?
Well, fantastic ride once again for Tommy Hahn, who's had just so many freak little bad luck things happen to him. I mean, this guy's fighting hard, and all of motocross in the world. And last lap around, he was faster than the current points leader. So, you know, if I'm one of the factory team managers there, I'm going to be, I got the number 10 on my radar for sure.
Well, what you know you're going to get out of the Han, you're going to get everything he can give you. He's going to give you the full effort during the week, training-wise, practice-wise, and certainly at the races.
Yeah, and you wonder if he's just a little more focused without his little brother Will around pestering him all the time. So
yeah, Wilbur racing the 250 class is out with a shoulder injury right now. He's probably watching at home, and he's happy that his brother's doing well, but he doesn't want to do too well. Doesn't want his brother to have anything on him.
That's
Here
right.
is Brayton in 4th, so he's making this hold up. He had the good start, and he's still going strong.
Great ride for the Toyota Muscle Milk rider here, who just the season's been tough, but this is how you get things back on track there. Made a little mistake there through the whoops. But Wyndham, once again, holding off the charge. Nick Way back there. Wow, what a ride. I mean, Nick Way, he's that veteran just like Wyndham. We always talk about Wyndham being around for so long, but Nick Way has been around for a long time also.
Yeah, he knows how to get done. He's got stronger as it goes on. He just got it done, Jeff.
Wow, just an outside move. You see Wyndham here. You can tell he's backed off the pace quite a bit. Last lap was a 2:18. That is the slowest lap of anyone in the top 10.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll give Wyndham a mulligan here. Came off the couch, essentially. Raced last week, did well. Raced this week, did well for a few minutes, and then obviously got tired. He's got a good excuse, but we've got 2 weeks off between here and Unadilla, the next stop on the tour in upstate New York, and that's traditionally one of Kevin Wyndham's best tracks. Here and there. Oh, we go back to Tommy Hahn.
Boy, it is intensifying, isn't it? Jason Hahn is pressing hard. Extra points here, some bragging rights. Would be a huge confidence boost if he can put the number 10 in front of Andrew Short there. And you got a feeling that right now for Short, once again, it's just kind of holding on, trying to keep his rhythm, and he has turned a better lap time. Last time was a 2:15. Dungey was a 2:13. Both Short and Hahn at 2:15.
Right, so he's now matching Hahn's speed now that Hahn has caught him, and we're about 2.5 laps to go. Next time they go through the finish area, they'll give him the 2 lap mark. So the 30 minutes has expired. So fitness is a factor, but just pure digging down deep is probably even a bigger factor at this point. Everybody's tired.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is where you have to dig deep. You have to be, you know, strategic, and you have to be able to, you know, control your breathing, mentally block out the pain that could be coming from your muscles, from your heart and your lungs, working overtime here. Great shot. This is as you come down into this shaded area, a new section that they built. Just a big flyaway double as you see Brayton come through in 4th.
Yeah, and Brayton comes through, and then Wyndham, who was battling with Way. See, Way is next, then Wyndham, and Metcalf has actually got Wyndham as well. And Metcalf is way back. He was 13th, 14th place, a couple laps into this moto. And Metcalf, who's been so solid this year, moving up. Then we see Dan Reardon, who we were in touch with earlier in the race. Looks like the Metcalf ride number 24 going to make a run at Way with 2 laps to go.
Well, this is definitely going to change the points for the overall. But let's see how Metcalf got here, because it did not start out like he wanted. Keep an eye on Metcalf. He's right there, the 24.
Bunch riders go down. He just escaped that.
Just escaped that, but he had some problems on the first lap somewhere. As you can see, both of the Alessi brothers were in there, along with a few other riders. But Metcalf battled him. He was 22nd at one point. Strong ride for the Geico Power Sports Honda rider here, and that's going to put him solidly into the top 3 in the event points for the day.
What's amazing about how mental this game is, Jeff, is that these guys, at this point, 3/4 of the mark through the series, they can start wherever they want, up front or in the back, and they end up where they're supposed to be. Metcalf can end up in the top 5, whether he starts in the top 5 or is outside of the top 20.
Yeah, it's really strange that way. I agree with you. But right now, hey, I'm saying Andrew Short has put in some solid laps here, because he really came under fire from Tommy Hahn, but he's managed to regroup, get his lap time. Last time around was a 2:15. Hahn was actually faster last time around, even though it looks like he's lost some time between the start-finish line and here.
Yeah, Short definitely keeping it pinned right now. And to give Short a little bit of a defense here with Dungey getting by, Short's been saying that Dungey has just been special these last couple of months. And Short has been in this position battling with, say, James Stewart or even Carmichael at one point in 07. So he knows what it's like to be in this position. Unfortunately, there's one great dominant guy. Last year it was Chad Reed, who's not part of the series right now. He is out with Epstein-Barr. So Short always is the next guy. He's second in points in the series, but unfortunately this kid moved out of the 250 class to be first in points in the 450 class in 2010.
Yeah, and at some point you have to shake those demons and you have to go for the win. And this year, bottom line is Ryan Dungey wants it more than the other riders. He is finding a way to self-motivate, to train, to do all of the mental preparation that it takes.
Best of the Northwest is his legendary mechanic, Mike Gosler. And you mentioned that self-motivation. One of the strange things about Dungey is he rides down at the Carmichael's farm, and he pretty much rides and trains by himself. Doesn't have a trainer, doesn't have someone in the morning saying, get up, run this much, bicycle this much. He'll run a lot of his motos by himself. A lot of the riders feel you got to ride with fast riders to get pushed. Dungey doesn't need that. Does it all by himself.
Yeah, well, there definitely is a mindset when you're down at the Carmichael farm that you have to get your work done. You wake up, get all that done before there's any fun. You don't shortcut anything. There's a lot of honesty to the training program and the racing. And Dungey had some years where it was tough. It was trying on him, but those failures have only made him stronger, and he's used those as motivation. And I think I talked about last week at Millville, I spoke with his father. He says he wants to be the rider to take Stewart down. Well, and he's going to have an opportunity here very soon. And because as he goes right now, if he wins this championship, he'll be holding both of the #1 plates in the premier classes. And that's exactly what Stewart, Villapoto, everybody else won.
Yeah, well, I like to say the target right now is just on the palm of his gloves and on his helmet, but it'll be squarely on his back next year. Indoors at Supercross, and he's about to take another huge step toward it outdoors in Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross. There it is. Ryan Dungey goes 1-1 here at Washougal. And they're going to keep him honest here to the finish because the battle for second is raging. They had to charge all the way to the line, and Andrew Short digs deep, holds off Tommy Hahn. Hahn gets that bike up on the podium, though. And for the Rockstar Suzuki folks, backing from Canada Pet Foods, they're happy about that. Finally brought it home on the podium, and we'll wait a little bit longer for Brayton. That's by far his best race of the year outdoors. And look at this battle right to the line. Metcalf going to try to BMX his way past. Oh, and he gets him.
Wow, what a ride for Brett Metcalf to place 5th in Moto2 after starting outside of the top 20.
I was saying to BMX there, he was putting that bike on the ground, forcing it to hook up. That little bit extra horsepower to the ground, able to get by way. Reardon, Cunningham, Wyndham, Chisholm circulating here in the last lap. That should round out your top 10. Short gives some congratulations out to Dungey, and they're all headed to the podium. And we'll talk to them in just a few. Welcome back, Ryan Dungey on the podium. He's certainly gotten used to that. And we'll give you our Lucas Oil race recap to show you how he earned his way to the top spot box. Andrew Short going to nail yet another pole shot. I believe that's 8 on the year for him. That's more than half the races.
And it looked like Dungey would be second, but it was Wyndham who would take over the second position as he did in Moto 1.
Huge pile up here. Mike Alessi's down in it. His brother Jeff Alessi down there with him.
See Chisholm back there.
Yeah. Now here is Dungey going after Kevin Wyndham. Nice move here, Jeff.
Just squares him up there with a lot of authority and a lot of confidence.
And then he's after Short. Short did his best, held him back there for several laps. Watch Dungey just explode here on the inside.
Yeah, this was an aggressive move, and all the way to the finish, it was all Ryan Dungey.
Well, it was an aggressive mood as well. He's out here to dominate. He's a Terminator. And we'll show you the results. Good job by Short. He was under pressure from Tommy Hahn the last couple of laps in that moto, but as you'll see, the Honda holds off the Suzuki. Justin Brayton fourth. Metcalf falls way up to fifth. Way, Reardon, Cunningham, Wyndham, Chisholm round out the top 10. Chisholm from the down in the first turn. Let's go down to Aaron with our winner on the podium.
And the win streak continues for Ryan Dungey. Ryan, you're kind of like a predator hunting its prey out there, waiting for that exact right moment to make that pass on Andrew Short. Are you giving it 100%, or is there even more speed to come?
Oh, I'm definitely giving it. You know, I think there's always room for improvement, but I didn't get up to the best to start. Andrew inched me out, and then Kevin got by me, but I was able to get my way into first and open up a little lead, and from there, you know, it felt awesome.
Next time we see you, supposedly you're going to be racing against the fastest man on the planet, James Stewart. What are you going to do on your 2-week break in order to prepare for that event?
Same as we always do, you know, work hard and come back, try to come back stronger, I think is key, and it's a great opportunity. You know, I think it's good for our sport, good for us, and all the whole crew, so, and fans. But I got to give Team Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, and Yoshimura, Maxima, everybody. You know, it's just, it's awesome to have people behind you like that, and the man above, and my family.
Congratulations once again on the dominating performance.
All right, we mentioned our next race coming up at Unadilla. We'll show you our schedule here in just a moment. Unadilla is the first stop of the stretch run of this series. Then we'll go to Southwick, Massachusetts, the infamous sand track. Cover that on speed. And then Steel City, Del Monte, and a brand new track, Paula Raceway, just outside San Diego, California. That will wrap up the tour. 4 to go.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting racetrack there because it's going to be an all-new track, all-new facility.
Should be even Steven there. No one will have an unfair advantage. They have a track there, but they're going to redo that for the National for our finale. Well, it was definitely exciting racing today at the infamous Washougal Raceway. Ryan Dungey was able to claw his way to the front of the field even without the best start in the business. And he's got himself another win. To beautiful Pacific Northwest. Take a look at our Geico top moment of the race. And it's pretty obvious what it's going to be here. Ryan Dungey spent the first half of the race stalking the 29 of Andrew Short, and then he gets him, Jeff.
Yeah, watch him just square this up and hammer the throttle. Watch the bike get a little out of control right there. Wow.
He's got it done. All right, we'll show you the overall results. The math is easy as far as the winner is concerned. Ryan Dungey goes 1-1, and Andrew Short goes 2-2. I guess that was easy to figure out. Brett Metcalf just edges Tommy Hahn for third. Let's go down to the podium again with Aaron Bates.
Andrew Short keeps it consistent once again with your 8th hole shot of the season. Andrew, you've got a 2-week break coming up. What is it that you're going to do on your break that you need to do differently to elevate your game to stop Ryan Dungey?
Yeah, I'm really lucky. Red Bull's involved with Honda, and I'm going to go down to their center and do some concentration tests, all kinds of stuff that they have planned to hopefully step up my game and get to Ryan.
Cool. That's encouraging. We'll see what Short has in 2 weeks. Let's show you the point standings. He is up to second in the series. Metcalf in the third. There used to be a very close gap between these guys. Are starting to stretch out. Let's go back down to Aaron.
Brett Metcalf is sporting his trophy. Brett, what a day it was for you after your weekend last weekend. How gratifying is it this weekend?
Yeah, it's awesome. The rebound, you know, unfortunate mistake last week, went down in the first turn pile-up or second turn pile-up, so I needed to come out here big and this weekend and get an overall, but, you know, I crashed on that first lap, and I got to go for the points, so, you know, just went for it, man. Thanks.
All right, well done. So the Honda guys are consistent, but everyone's chasing the Suzuki man Dungey, and so far there are no chinks in the armor. They've got 2 weekends off to try to figure out if they can beat him at all. And don't forget, folks, our 250 show is coming up next. This is a historic weekend for the sport with back-to-back shows. We're so glad you could join us for the first leg here at the 450s. For Aaron Bates, Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Congratulations to Ryan Dungey. Stay with us for coverage of 250 Moto 2 right after this.